Welcome to Tech 505. This episode is all about our ASUS TUF Gaming theme build, a thorough review of the TUF GT302 case, TUF Gaming x870-Plus Wi-Fi Motherboard, and the TR120 fans. This episode is in partnership with ASUS. Back in mid-October, they sent us the TUF GT302 case, the x870-Plus Wi-Fi Motherboard, TR120 fans, and the Rogue Ryzen 3 water block. Today is December 12th, and I have had over a month now to thoroughly test and game on this build. Lee from ASUS nicknamed the PC the Tuxedo, and Eric featured it on edgeupasus.com. A link to the story can be found in the video description below. Okay, let's go over all the parts that we're using in this build. Starting with the Ryzen 7 7800X3D. I found a 32 gig kit from Patriot Viper Xtreme. It's an 8,000 mega transfer rated kit. For the storage, we went with the Crucial T700. That is a Gen 5 1 terabyte M.2 solid state drive. For the GPU, we have the TUF Gaming RTX 4070 Super. I did swap the black fans out with white fans. Cooling, I used heatkiller. This is the Tube 200 with the D5 pump. We also have a heatkiller 360 radiator. We did use 14mm PETG tube. Sort of kind of a pain in the butt to get these tubes installed. So PETG was convenient where I could rework those tubes and get it in just perfect. Let's see, for the CPU water block is the ASUS Rogue Ryzen 3. I used EK Cloud White fluids. For the fans, those are the TUF Gaming TR120s. For the cable extensions, I used GeForce. Yes, finally, the power supply is the ASUS TUF Gaming 1000 watt.
Hey, what's up everybody? I'm DJ from Tech 505 and I'm going to be going over the TUF Gaming GT302. Let's get started. Okay, this is it. Look at the white on the left, right? We have black. What we did was decided to merge both of these colors together to get a real nice tuxedo look. As you can see there, it comes with ARGB 140mm, 3 in the front, 1 in the back. It's got mesh integrated into that top panel. It's got these plastic molded mesh front filter. Got a little bit of cable managing options in the back. Really like that. That's a real clean look. The way it's recessed too is nice. That removable top is extremely nice when adding an AIO or trying to do maintenance to it. Easy access. Here's our accessories kit. Extra clips in case you break them, some zip ties, and a vertical mount brag.
Let's add some contrast to these cases by swapping the panels. Now let's have a look at the TUF Gaming x870-Plus Wi-Fi Motherboard. ASUS has stepped up the quality and DIY convenience. So let's get this motherboard unboxed and have a closer look. This mid-tier budget-friendly motherboard has all the features we need for our gaming PC. Check out the aesthetics of the I/O shroud and PCH heatsink. The motherboard is designed to meet the needs of high core count CPUs. It features 16 plus 2 plus 1 power stages. It has an 8 multi-layer printed circuit board design that quickly dissipates heat around the voltage regulators to improve overall system stability. Military-grade components such as TUF chokes deliver rock-solid power to the CPU. TUF 5K black metallic capacitors provide 52% wider temperature tolerance and a 2.5x longer lifespan than standard motherboard capacitors. Compared to traditional power inputs, ASUS ProCool connectors are built to tight specifications to ensure full contact with the PSU power cables. The resulting lower impedance helps prevent hotspots and connector failure. This motherboard supports up to 160 MHz bandwidth in the 6 GHz band. The new antenna provides up to 18% signal improvement on 5 and 2.4 GHz and up to 6% for the 6 GHz. We get 2.5 GB onboard LAN connections. This motherboard features QLED that helps users troubleshoot by indicating the status of the system during post. Okay, on the back panel we get two USB 4 Type-C 40 gigabits per second ports, one would dub as a display port, 3 USB 10 gigabit ports, 4 USB 5 gigabit ports, 1 USB 2.0, 1 HDMI. Okay, for connectivity we have two front USB 2.0 headers, and for the front panel we get one USB 5 gigabits per second and one USB 20 gigabits per second. There are a total of 8 4-pin PWM DC fan headers, one for an AIO pump, and one that supplies 3 amps for high-performance PWM or DC water pumps for custom loops. For storage, we have 4 M.2 slots, 2 support up to Gen 5 and 2 support up to Gen 4. There are also 2 SATA ports. There are 3 addressable Gen 2 RGB headers that will support up to 500 LEDs on Gen 2 RGB devices. Now let's have a look at bifurcation. M.2 slot 1 is native, meaning it does not share any bandwidth with any other devices. If you use slot 2, you will reduce the bandwidth of your GPU by half. Also, if you use both of the Gen 4 slots, it will disable the bottom PCIe slot. For convenience is one of my favorite features, PCIe slot key release. Attaching a Wi-Fi antenna to your PC is now easy and fast. Instead of slowly rotating 2 fasteners until they finally lock in, they just snap into place. Q-Latch makes it easy to install or remove an M.2 SSD without the need of specific tools or screws. Available in standard or reverse blades, black or white, the TR120 is a new replacement for the TF120 model. It is a little thicker, measuring in at 28mm thick. The standard blade performs at a higher CFM, coming in at 77.4 at 2000 RPMs and 3.3 H2O static pressure, while also keeping the noise levels down at 29 decibels. The reverse blade model performs at 76.3 CFM at 2.75 H2O static pressure. Look how there's 2 different RGB patterns. Mounting those fans on that top bracket on that GT302 case was very convenient. Next up, we installed the ASUS ROG Ryzen 3 water block. The ROG Ryzen 3 water block is an Asetek powered water block featuring 178 micro cooling fins, copper alloy cold plate for exceptional thermal efficiency. There is an embedded fan that provides airflow to the motherboard VRM. A 3.5-inch screen offers limitless customization options, allowing you to display hardware information or personalized GIF animations. The water block's cooling design enables you to create a unique build. I can now conveniently customize the screen from the ASUS Army Freight app. ROG all copper fittings are included. Okay, check this out. I've installed different vertical mount brackets, but this one by far is the best in my opinion. It's the Coolermaster version 3 vertical GPU card holder kit. It comes with a 4th gen PCIe cable and allows for your GPU to be just about fully adjustable inside your case. This is the heatkiller tube reservoir. It's all aluminum and the tube is made of glass. Okay guys, so I really like this heatkiller tube reservoir and I had an idea to cut the bottom mesh to hide the pump and the wires. To my surprise, this actually really turned out really nice. I like how the res periscopes up and it looks really clean. If you haven't noticed already, I angle mounted the top radiator. This hides the motherboard headers and cables up top and allows for a better view of the TR120 fans. I crafted a shield that prevents the hot air from recirculating back through the back of the case. I found a Patriot Viper Xtreme RAM kit because it looks great, it's very affordable. It's a 32 gig, 8000 mega transfers rated kit, and should give us plenty of overhead for a few stable overclock options. Here's a closer look at the ASUS TUF Gaming 1000 watt power supply. Now let's have a look at some of the software features of the TUF Gaming x870-Plus Wi-Fi motherboard. So the first thing you will notice when you're in the UEFI BIOS is how clear it looks in 1080p. A new feature introduced to the x870 and Z890 motherboards is Q Dashboard. Q Dashboard simplifies motherboard configuration by clearly displaying hardware connections and corresponding BIOS settings, making system setup more convenient. Notice on the bottom right corner you can change display to show all or specific hardware. A really cool feature that I just noticed is that you can choose the Q fan control source. For example, if you want certain fans to ramp up because your CPU is warm, versus if you want them to ramp up if your GPU is warm. So, really cool feature. Alright, another feature that's new to ASUS is called the ASUS Driver Hub. Once you have completed the Windows installation, you'll notice it pop up on the bottom right hand corner. Once installed, you will be linked to the website where you will find all of the available drivers, software such as Army Crate, CPU-Z, and many other useful utilities. You can also find all your system specs, BIOS firmware version. You can set the Driver Hub app to notify you when new drivers and BIOS versions are available. Okay, now that I've got my drivers installed, let's set up our overclock on our RAM. First thing we'll need to do is disable onboard graphics. Since I will not be using onboard graphics, I'll turn that off so we can recover some RAM that it reserves. Looks like it increased a little bit from 31.1 GB to 31.6. Setting up your RAM overclock is very easy on the ASUS TUF Gaming x870 motherboard. I'll go over the process of how to set up and test your overclock. Okay, so head over to Advanced Mode, AI Tweaker, choose the pre-configured ASUS DOCP profile. I like to start with a mild overclock and test. Then you can increase frequency or tighten up the timers to decrease latency. Okay, now save and exit and reboot. Make sure that the system posts and confirm the speeds that you chose. An unstable overclock can damage your Windows operating system and corrupt files. So it's best to use memtest86. I run about 5 to 10 loops just to make sure we're stable. After your tests pass, then you're safe to boot into the Windows operating system. Now after a quick mem test in the Windows operating system, it looks like I'm good to go for some game testing. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that game performance. All right, and finally, let's just run a benchmark test with Black Ops 6. Well, I'm pretty happy with those numbers. In conclusion, I have to say that I am extremely happy with the ASUS TUF Gaming GT302 case aesthetics and cooling performance. Temps remained low in the 27 to 30 C idle and during basic tasks, peaking at 40 to 60 Celsius while gaming. My GPU temps peaked at 65 C. The ASUS TUF Gaming x870-Plus WiFi Motherboard is by far the best TUF Gaming AM5 motherboard to date. really appreciate the pcdiy features such as Q latch, M.2 latch, and Q antenna. I hope you enjoyed this build and episode in partnership with ASUS.